The Ways and Means meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderman Moore.
Here.
Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard.
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Muhammad. Chairman Conway. 5 present. You have a quorum.
And Alderwoman Boyd and Alderman Mohammed called in.
Okay.
So I think what we're gonna bring up first is the minimum wage. Everybody got this last week, and we asked everybody to read it over. If we don't act on it, it doesn't mean that there's, they can still do whatever they need to do. They are asking us to act on this. So we could discuss it. I'd like to consider that we take a vote today and that we pass this out for the time being. And like I say, if everybody's ready to, we'll just start with Alderwoman, is it, who's on time?
Alderwoman
Yeah,
Davis.
it is Alderwoman Davis. Any questions or comments, or
Not at this time.
Alderman Moore?
What are we discussing, Board Bill 8?
No. See, this is the minimum wage compliance. We've given it out last week.
Yeah, we had got it.
What I might do is, do you want to talk on it a little bit?
Sure,
So that
I can-
everybody
I
has
can
a
do
better
that.
understanding? That might be
I don't
better.
have a copy of that.
Yeah,
so-
we-
I'll make a copy. We gave them out last
We had
week.
them, had last week, I think.
Yeah. Okay, well, Sam, I'll get you a copy.
I would be more intelligent if I read it.
You didn't stick it in your book?
We got it last time.
Well, it's okay. It's no big deal. We're gonna get more copies.
There it is.
I'm
It's stuck in
sorry.
his book.
It's kind of temporary.
Thank you very
Probably
much.
right here. There it is, right there.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, he's
And
got
we're
it.
getting an extra copy just in case, but why don't you go ahead and speak on that?
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Marlene.
Just for the record, my name's Mark Lawson. I'm an associate city councilor in the law department. I've been one of the people tasked with the implementation of this minimum wage ordinance. Under the terms of the ordinance, the Ways and Means Committee may approve rules and regulations further clarifying how the minimum wage ordinance is to be enforced. I can tell you that for myself and my colleague, Ms. Rebecca Wright, who's another person who's been tasked with this, we have been taking phone calls and emails from employers and employees asking various questions about the minimum wage ordinance. And I think that, to a significant degree, has guided us in terms of putting together these rules and regulations that we've drafted for you today. They help clarify certain aspects of the enforcement as to such as how to define an employer, how to define a pay period, which is very important for things like tipped employees and the like. So, I suspect we'll be further educated as time goes on and people ask even more questions. We thought it was important to get these in place now because essentially without them, we really don't have much of an enforcement mechanism. As you know, there are several remedies that are available if we do find a violation, including administrative actions with regard to certain types of permits that the employer may have, as well as prosecution in municipal court. But in order to be able to effectuate that, we really do need some rules and regulations to be put into place so we can actually investigate these complaints and actually seek records from the employer. So that's the main reason why we're asking you to act today in order to approve those rules and regulations. And if you have any questions about aspects of those rules and regulations, we'd be happy to try and answer them.
Okay, and I was told that even if we didn't pass this, that these rules would be in effect.
The ordinance will be in effect. The rules probably cannot be unless the committee approves them. At least that's how I understand the ordinance to read.
Because we had that conversation, and you were saying you were getting like multiple phone calls. And my question was, I think this will end up shifting all the multiple phone calls to us.
Is this your original copy?
And so, anyway,
I haven't shifted any phone calls other than.
no, I'm saying this would probably
Oh,
shift.
oh,
We all
oh, it clearly says who
Yeah,
to call.
I'll find his.
Excuse me?
It clearly says who to call.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's Carol, we'll come right back.
I'm sorry.
Sam, so you kind of have an understanding of what this is?
Because we read it.
Did you have any questions about it at all? And
The
we'll make a
summary
list to you?
page tells you who to call.
Alderman Moore? Would you want me to come back to you, or do you have questions for her?
No questions of Marlene, she's the senior.
Well, we're gonna come back to her. She didn't have any
That is-
questions a minute
Yeah,
ago.
she didn't hear it.
I'm not asking about the rules and regulations. How are we, the city versus the county? What is the county saying about this?
Well, we certainly have had a lot of questions from people asking if this is in effect in the county, and the answer that we have to give them is no. It's not in effect unless a county employer has employees who travel within the geographic boundaries of the city for the threshold amount of time, which is 20 hours in a calendar year. But in terms of any input from, frankly, county officials or the county government, I'm not aware of any.
I have a question. So there's no board bill on this. I mean, normally a board bill has a sponsor and then is there a sponsor to this, and is this gonna become a board bill, or? I mean, we can't really do much with
Do
what
it.
we have in front of us unless it's a board bill.
A resolution.
No,
Yeah.
this is a special circumstance. If you actually take a look at the ordinance, it specifically says and authorizes that the director shall work with the Ways and Means Committee to promulgate rules and regulations. So the power to do that is specifically set forth in the ordinance, where the Ways and Means Committee is authorized, and in fact, it specifically says they may do this in order to effectuate the purpose of the ordinance.
Kind of unusual, I know, but.
Yeah, I know, I'm
It
just,
is, yeah.
I was sitting there and then we're just saying,
Everything is good.
I'm sorry, Sam, I apologize, it was just kind of, you can go ahead, I was just, thought I'd
You
jump
can
in.
always
real
cut
quick.
in on the dance with me.
It's okay.
You can always touch me on the back and intercept. Enforcement, I see we have enforcement day. If we don't have an agreement with the county nor the state, right?
That is correct.
That's right.
So how do we go this along?
That's the problem.
We investigate complaints that are brought to our attention by employees who presumably are covered by this ordinance.
What's the penalty for people that say they're just flat out not gonna do it?
There are several different remedies that are available, including prosecution in our municipal court. There's also a provision that says if there's a violation found, that that employer will be required to pay a minimum wage to its employees for the rest of this year at $11 an hour, as opposed to the standard rate that's in effect for this year, which is $10 an hour. And there is also a remedy of administratively revoking certain permits that the employer may have with regard to occupancy permits.
What do you think about the threat of people leaving the city, going to the county because of this increase, that they cannot, they're saying that they cannot afford this?
I leave that discussion to the decision makers within city government.
And we are part of the decision-making body here. That's something we have to think about, that people are going to be pilgrimage to the county because of our increase of our wages that they don't feel like they can afford. Just a comment. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. Alderwoman Howard.
Okay. In here, it says that, there'll be section 5 of the ordinance and I'm not trying to be dense, is what happens, and I look at section 5 and it's work study, that maybe.
Those are the rules and regulations. When it's referencing the ordinance, if you, I don't know if you have the ordinance in front of you, but it's on page
Oh, okay,
14.
okay, so no, we don't have the ordinance in front of us, okay, that's fine. But basically, I just wanna comment here, this is sort of the condensed, that, you know, complaints will be directed to the office of
Yes.
minimum wage, or, yeah. So we are not being charged with responding to these complaints.
No.
So I think this is pretty clear, and I gave the secretaries a copy of this, just so if they did get calls, they knew where to send them. So I think that it's very clear on who is to field these complaints, because I sure don't feel as though I'm capable. Okay, that's all I have. And so this will be in effect as soon as we vote it, and it will be a resolution, is that correct?
I'm confused by it, that's why I was asking.
I think a motion would be needed to approve the rules and regulations, as well as a motion to approve the notice. Now, I would also request, and I know we only have 3 months in which we're enforcing this, but I've realized that sometimes unexpected things happen, and the last time, you know, it was a lawsuit, which, you know, you guys approved the notice, but then obviously the lawsuit occurred, and then the amount of the minimum wage changed on the notice. So if there could be some approval with respect to, you know, approving the notice and then allowing approving it to substantially deform, something to that effect, so that if there were minor changes, we could go ahead and make minor changes as needed, whether it be a phone number or
So basically, it would be an ordinance saying that you would have latitude to
We just can't.
execute as needed?
I think you could do it in a motion, yeah, something to the effect of, approve to, a motion to approve the notice as well as the rules and regulations, and with respect to the notice specifically, granting the city councilor,
Office the
some
latitude to-
discretion to make
Yeah.
minor modifications to the notice.
I think
Okay.
Alderwoman Davis, you feel that we can't give them that authority, right?
No, we cannot. We're abiding by a law, an ordinance. And you guys know, if there's a change to an ordinance, we have to amend the ordinance.
We're not changing.
Appropriately. No, I didn't say change. It's an addition and amendment to it, and that is what this is. This document provides operational procedures to the ordinance. And the other things that you mentioned that you'd like to do are also operating procedures in accordance to the ordinance. So we as a body cannot sit here and just arbitrarily say, oh yeah, go do that. And then the only thing we have left, as far as law is concerned, is the fact that we just simply had a vote.
Not with the rules and regulations, with the notice specifically. If there are minor modifications that are needed, like a change to the email address, something to that effect.
But that's not what you said. You said a whole lot other than that.
If that might have been a misinterpretation, or I misstated it, that was not my
Okay,
intent.
we'll do that.
I'm still not in favor. I'd rather do it.
Okay. And I'll do that, we'll hit that, thanks for sure.
May I?
Yes, please.
The only thing is, Alderwoman, for the 19th, that if we have to rewrite or amend, that won't come out until probably the end of our session here in
I have no
July.
issues with that.
Well, I mean, in the meantime, how are they operating?
I have
to
no
address
issues with
those?
that because at the end of the day.
They said they could operate
Yeah,
even
they
if we don't
can.
do anything.
Right.
They said
I'm
that
just
they-
not willing to give myself any kind of judgment other than following absolute process and procedures.
Well, then we won't put that amendment to it, or we won't make that motion,
Okay.
correct? Because there's nothing in here that says
No,
that you have the latitude to make those changes.
The minor modifications to
That's
the
not in here.
notice.
Okay. So if we approve this, you're good?
That's fine.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thought I saw, I guess I didn't see anybody come in.
I make a motion, we approve this amendment and make a resolution, is that?
I would say it's a motion to approve
The rules
Given
and
that the
regulations
rules
for
and
executing the
regula-
minimum wage compliance.
Would that make sense? She would make a motion that she approves the rules and regulations pertaining to minimum wage.
For the minimum wage compliance then,
During the time.
section.
Terry, did you have any questions on minimum wage stuff? This is the rules, so this will be the rules pertaining to.
In August, it's all gone anyway.
Hmm?
Once the governor signs that, it's all.
Well, but they've got to function
Oh,
till
I know,
August
right,
fifth.
right. Well, I think it's August 27th for that.
Isn't it August fifth?
28.
Well,
The
28th, it'll go
Is
into
when the new law
effect
goes into
when he
effect.
signs that.
No, it goes away.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I
If he
mean,
signs
It goes
it,
away.
this will
the
go
other
away.
thing, so, this is much ado with that, nothing, let them work.
Carol, you made a motion. And is there a second on the
Second.
motion?
Second,
Okay, then please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
is that why they're here about the minimum wage?
Alderman Moore,
President,
Alderman Vaccaro,
Pass.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye,
Alderwoman Pam Boyd, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Conway, Alderwoman Pam Boyd, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Conway, you have 3 yes, 1 pass. Oh, I need to call Moore again. Alderman Moore,
President,
okay.
Or you can put me as an aye. So it'll be four ayes.
Yes.
No,
No,
three.
3.
No, I said you can put me as an aye.
That makes
Oh, you
three.
wanna go back to an aye,
You can
so
put me
that
as
is
an aye, so it
4.
won't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so it does pass.
Well, I'm not finished. 1 pass and 1 present.
And you'd have to come up and, to make any changes to it, you would have to come back in front of the board, in front of the, this committee.
change your phone number.
Because this notice is different from.
This is a different notice than what was originally posted.
Yeah, the only thing we'd ask in addition to approving the rules and regulations is that notice that Alderwoman Howard is holding is slightly different from what the committee had previously approved. If we could have a motion to approve that notice.
It's ridiculous.
This is the one before
Correct.
us.
The one that's before you right now is slightly different than the one that was previously approved several years ago.
I would say that we would ask you to come back, because I don't think everybody's had a chance to at least look at it. And it could
Well, I
be
mean,
as soon as the first part of
What's
next
the
week.
difference? I mean, that's the thing we don't know. I mean, I assumed that this was, yeah.
The original ordinance required that a notice be posted containing the text of several sections of the minimum wage ordinance. It's very, yeah,
Yeah.
it's even, yeah.
Right, okay.
To post that is at best awkward, to expect an employee or employer to read the entirety of that. That, yes, that you're holding is sort of an abbreviated version that makes it easier to read.
Alderwoman Davis, you have,
So they basically only have to post this?
No, they have to post both.
For clarification, the major change that was made was that the amount that was listed on the previous notice was what the amount was at the time that you
At the
guys approved
time.
that
I'll be right
notice.
there.
Okay, so the amount changed, and the amount changed because we're several years now along in the schedule. And so that amount, you know, there was no discretion given to the city councilor's office to
So
necessarily change
I
it for
guess
the
what I'm
amount.
saying, if we just approve this and this isn't contained
Right.
in this, you're good to go.
Right, that's not specifically contained within the rules and regulations, that's a separate
But it
requirement.
needs to be.
Marlene, Alderwoman Davis.
Chairman, I'd like, if voting on the prevailing side of this, I'd like to rescind the vote and send this back.
So it's voting on the prevailing side, you want to reconsider the vote?
I'd like to reconsider the vote.
And, does that require a second? So we'll second that then. So, if you would please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
So, this is a vote to rescind
Rescind the approval of the, previous
Right.
motion, yes.
Okay.
Rescind the vote.
Okay.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Moore,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy.
I,
How-
just bring back what we need to do.
Bring
Yeah.
everything back that you need.
That was
That-
brought to you. It
No,
was,
no,
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 what
let's
I'm-
not have a discussion about this. All I need you to do is to go back and put everything in one document, all the additional things you talked about that you wanted us to just simply vote on in air. Just bring everything back in its totality, where it's appropriate for us to give you a vote that is gonna mean something and not be challenged later on. We do this too much, and it's just real simple. It's real simple.
And we can get something as soon
Yeah,
as
and
the
we'll
first
do
part of
it,
next
yeah.
week.
You know, we're
So-
meeting every day anyway, so, just get it
I
right.
think we're gonna hear that other
That's
one
all.
first, one with public safety.
I can't have separate things over here, and then
Well,
I'm
we
gonna
talked
need
to
to
them,
do
we talked to them
this,
later.
and, I can't do that.
If they don't mind
I'm
waiting.
not finished with the vote.
I'm
Oh, I'm
sorry.
The only,
I'm sorry.
the only thing we'd ask is, there's really a separation between.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to finish the vote, I'm sorry.
Alderwoman Pam Boyd, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Conway. We have 5 yes votes.
Can we end this, we have other things to do.
Yeah, if you guys
Well,
would, if
we
you.
need to give them direction on what,
Right.
what needs to come
So
back.
what I would like is, can you at least get us a copy of everything, put it all together? And I will talk to the chairman and see if we can't have something really early next week. And if you could email everybody in this committee a copy, that this way everybody will have a chance to read it, what the difference is between the two different things, what you're looking to have done, so that this way we can all as a group make an intelligent vote.
How soon will we get that?
how
Well, it-
easy, because we already sent that
Right,
in a
well-
letter from Mike Garvin with the 2 documents attached asking the committee to approve the rules and regulations, so I'll be happy to send it to all committee members
send it to all
in an
committee members.
attachment.
But in an attachment, explaining what, about the posting, you know, about the actual posting that would go into the businesses and that, just to make it a little simpler. Yeah, yes, please, I'm sorry.
Let's get this clarified. Because you guys know how to do this. Operational procedures for anything, even if it's just how to do a hula hoop. All procedures should be together in a specific identifiable document that is referred to. I want all procedures and concerns that you have for operations in one document for one vote. That's all. I don't want what was sent a long time ago floating around out here. I don't want, think about this and vote for that. I don't want this document. I want it all together.
So you want the notices incorporated within the rules and
It
regulations?
has to be, it has to be. Because it's a part of the operating procedures to get to the point of actually doing the issuance of the dollar amount, changing the minimum wage. So if you don't have, if I don't have the process in place for anybody that walks up to us to challenge us, or to challenge you, the city council's department, it's not fair, it's not legal. And I want it identified in one document. The process from day one, when the court approved it, this is how you apply it. These employers out here and employees must have clear information. It is only fair to them. And I'm not the one who's gonna be trying to figure it out every day, and you shouldn't have to figure it out every day. If it's clear and identified step by step in one document that is sent out to the public, that we approve.
Well, I'm sorry. So if you guys could please put together what Alderwoman Davis is asking, get that back to all of us, if you would, please. And then Chairman Conway, I'm sure we'll set something up very early next week.
Is there
Okay.
a specific date?
Just get it to us as soon as you can, and, no, because that has to go through the chairman, I'm just acting chairman. So Steve will actually, or Alderman Conway will actually set up the hearing, but I'm sure if you request it, we're not here Monday because of the holiday, I'm sure he'd do it Tuesday, Wednesday, he'll do it right away. I think it's just for clarification, it would be better. So we're not gonna delay it. Really, I mean, if you think about it, we got the holiday anyway, so, you know, I'm sure he'll set something for the very first part of
Do it
next
right
week.
away, we have no issues with that.
So we're gonna move on to the next stage. Conway said we're gonna hear there. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, guys, and sorry,
What we can do.
but if you can send that, that would be really nice. We're gonna bring in, we got,
Public safety.
well, it's number 8, it's Shane Cohen's bill. We're gonna,
Oh, number 8,
There's gonna be a
that's
lot of
different. There's a
people,
lot of people
so-
out there, I saw that. This is
like a
the-
lot.
The CID.
So, and these guys are here with public safety, so, and it's gonna be just a little bit full. So, we're gonna bring in the crowd.
Now we're
so
gonna do 8.
Let me let them wait on.
We should have been in the
Lisa,
theater.
what, Lisa? What committee is
Keep
it?
getting us in
What
trouble.
other committee?
You gonna come in here with that
Today?
damn mess.
Yeah.
HUD's.
At 9 o'clock?
Oh, do we
Is
need to
that
go
what
over there and
they're
make a
over there?
quorum?
Huds is over there?
I'm not on HUD's anymore.
Oh, I thought you were still on her.
Yeah, I quit.
It was a hard year last year.
Yeah.
He quit.
I was no part of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just don't wanna see it.
No, I'd rather it be done right, you know, and so,
Is he gonna have anyone
He's-
speaking on that?
yeah, I'm gonna get them to sign up once they come in. Let me put this so he's got it in front of him. It'll just be a minute, we're reorganizing the room. We got a sign-up sheet for pros and cons.
Okay.
What committees and committees?
I'm on HUD. Are you on HUD?
Can we go get everybody?
Are you on HUD? No.
You can, we're gonna do this, SID, and so the room's gonna get full for a few minutes,
The
The room is going to get very full.
okay?
We do have a sign-up sheet.
Fill up the room and let's go.
But you can check to make a quorum,
I'm gonna go check and make a quorum, okay?
all
And I'll
right?
come back.
And tell them to excuse me.
Okay. All right.
So,
Joe, I got it.
so this
Just
is,
come on, just work yourselves around the best you can, and I'm sorry, these aren't the most luxurious, how are you? Accommodations.
We were not expecting luxury, so,
Pass me a copy
so
of
you're not
that
gonna-
for
so we
Billy.
are not disappointed.
Thank you.
Come on in. You, and you can work your way down to that wall, too.
well, there's a meeting in the calendar.
Yeah, why don't we go in the chambers? Oh, because you advertise it here.
Don't worry, okay.
Okay.
It's comfortable.
It's cozy. It's cozy.
Or just one of us.
More supports than non-supports, I guess.
All right.
Not everybody. So,
All right, well, good morning, everybody, and I know that this is an important issue to the community, and we appreciate everybody coming out. I have a sign-up sheet, and I'll pass it around. Generally, the Board of Aldermen, we're fairly inclined on whatever the sponsor wants to do on these bills. So if you're opposed to it, please sign up. If you're for it, if you absolutely have to talk in favor of it, you can sign up. And we're going to go ahead and begin. Alderman Cohn on Board Bill number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am proud to be sponsoring Board Bill number 8. It's the Dutchtown Community Improvement District. As the chair mentioned, these are a fairly routine piece of legislation that we've done down here. However, this is not a very routine piece of legislation for our community. As many of you know, the Dutchtown community has been struggling with issues pertaining to crime and nuisances and vacancies and whatnot. And our business association, I started working with them probably around the time I first got elected 8 years ago, on the discussions surrounding the formation of a community improvement district. Those discussions really started taking traction about 5 or 6 years ago, and then from that point on, we enlisted the help of some pro bono counsel and started having community engagement meetings probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And from that point on, we started kind of formalizing what the SID would look like in terms of geography, but also what they would be doing. And so the Community Improvement District is actually, if passed, will be the largest geographically in the city's history to ever be passed. It will run, and Kaya, who is the most recent former past president of the Business Association, has a map here. It'll run along Grand Avenue, Grand Boulevard, from Chippewa down to Bingham, and then from Merrimack Street, from Grand over to Compton, and then Virginia Avenue, it'll run from just the alleyway behind Merrimack all the way down to Bates. And then there's a little spoke that goes off here to along Osceola over to the Michigan Avenue area. So this is Compton here. This is Virginia. This is like Compton and Osceola right here. So for those of you that are familiar with Caruso's, it's a favorite neighborhood eatery. It's right there. The only 3 a.m. bar in the neighborhood. So, we're not really looking to generate a whole lot of money from the SID. What we're doing is a fairly minimal property assessment and potentially a sales tax, but the sales tax isn't currently part of the discussion that would be put out to a vote at a later point in time. But right now, the focus is mainly providing security and trash services for that district specifically.
All right. Let's see, and I know I passed around the list. Is there anyone that would like to speak against this bill? Yes, sir. Why don't you have a seat there?
I'm a property owner in the SID.
Go ahead and sit down. Alderman Cone, you'll have to slide over. And if you could tell me your name?
Raymond Skoski,
Okay.
EDS. I have a dental office at 5530 Virginia. I'm at the terminus. I'm at the very end of this. Been in business there for 27 years. And my reason, I applaud everyone's, I share their interest. These other people aren't the enemy. I share the interest in having a better community, but I'm a property owner and I'm going to be directly impacted by this. My footprint in this district is minuscule. I have a 1,200 square foot property. My real estate tax bill, as of this year, is $3,900. That's a $4,000 tax bill on a 1,200 square foot property. I just would like to be able to opt out of this. I'm paying enough for these services that I believe the city already provides. I pay for police support. We have trash pickup. My wife and I, every morning, there's trash to be picked up. We pick it up. So it looks like I brought a knife to a gunfight. I'm outgunned here. And but I would like to know how many of these people are actually property owners that are going to be footing the bill.
We take a show of hands for property owners.
It looks like I'm going to lose. But
All right.
I am in opposition.
And I appreciate you coming in and testifying. Thank you. Is there anybody else that is opposed to this bill? All right. Alderman Cone, who is the main speaker?
So we have
The main speaker.
Okay.
Main.
I don't know, would Nate or Kaya prefer?
I'll give just.
Nate,
oh,
you
They're gonna
got
go in front.
Sorry,
No problem.
Sorry, it's just.
it's pretty confined quarters.
My name is Nate Lindsay. I'm the current president of the Dutchtown Business Association, which is sponsoring the Community Improvement District. I am a property owner, but will not be on the board once it is established. I can tell you that while this is a large footprint for a SID, this effort has really brought Dutchtown together in the past 2 or 3 years. and you see a lot of neighbors here wearing similar t-shirts with similar interests about trying to figure out how to turn Dutchtown into a neighborhood that helps the greater region of the city. And we believe that this SID is the first building block to doing that. We have a lot of wonderful business owners already that have put in pieces to stabilize our neighborhood, and with the SID, we think that we can build off of those.
Thank you. Are there any questions of the committee for the sponsor?
No, other than we're gonna vote on this tomorrow, I see no problem with it.
Okay. The one thing I would say, tomorrow we'll actually vote. I can, if you read the temperature of us here, that I would say it's fairly positive. The vote will be affirmative tomorrow morning. Alderman, I'm impressed by the enthusiasm of everybody in the Dutchtown church, because we need that type of enthusiasm. And I know that I've driven 8.5 years ago, or whenever Alderman Cohn was first elected, I thought that that stretch of Virginia had a lot of opportunity for the city of St. Louis. Obviously, it has to be cleaned up, and you're willing to tax yourselves both for the security and for the trash pickup, because, you know, what we see visibly is how we're gonna treat your neighborhood. And obviously, in certain parts of the city, we have to have it. I have South Grand in my community. It was the first SID in the city, and it's worked wonders for us over the years. So I think that you'll be particularly happy that you're here today and that you do pay those funds to provide that and make that area what it really could be going forward. You know, just by a show of hands, we'll do it. We'll call off a roll, but I want you. But it won't be the official vote until tomorrow. But we will do it again at this point in time. I want you to feel comfortable. We're going to support this bill tomorrow. Madam Clerk, call a roll.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Moore,
Pass.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Yes,
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Aye.
Alderwoman Pam Boyd, Alderman Muhammad, Chairman Conway,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Pam Boyd, Alderman Muhammad. You have 4 yes, 1 pass.
Okay, and then make sure this is on the schedule for tomorrow morning.
Okay.
it is, it's our calendar.
Okay, it's on our calendar letter for tomorrow. Thank you for coming in today, and thank you for everything you do.
I mean, they're overwhelmed. The only thing I was gonna.
I feel like we should have some champagne. My neighbors are always thinking that.
But you can put your name down. And you guys can say that.
Are we, do you want to do like a photo in the rotunda?
Yeah, well. How are you?
Dutch Townies, I think we're gonna try and do a photo in the City Hall rotunda, so if we could go.
So a lot of them, they all were
They got their own.
I think we can get it that way.
I mean, it seems over, I
You can
understand
go out either
that,
door, but make your.
but it seems overwhelmingly in favor of it,
Yeah.
you know?
You can keep signing.
I just want to let you know I support it, so I brought my picture. Right?
Well,
You with nerves? Bless your heart for staying. I go there all the time.
Yeah. I just wanted you to know that.
good.
Lake Park supports. They're okay. Susan? They weren't, but everybody called to me. I knew her once in one of their clubs.
You know, you could have brought some strawberries to
We
bring.
had him on the bus.
he asked me how many months ago, so you're in charge.
You can bring us some
Can Shane
next.
come bring some too?
Wait,
You
she can
better.
bring us some next week. Still working for you?
Yeah, Mandy works for me.
Tell him I said hi.
And you are?
Carol.
Carol Howard,
His
14
grandmother.
Oh, Howard, his friend Howard, the twins.
Yeah, the twins.
They used to eat soap balls at my house.
They used to what?
Eat soap balls at my house when Mandy used to live, when I lived at my, Mandy lived at my house, and I had these brown soap balls. I could always tell when you were there because they were under the sink.
Yeah.
They They are otherwise known as
bribes
natural
to farm
blizzards.
chocolate.
Do you see Mary Beth Darklight that got any more
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes, she's living on the hill.
Good, because I know.
Yeah, I know. I need to, I tried to connect with her.
Okay, it's,
So don't go, hang on, go.
On Sublet?
I'll just follow her.
4525354.
Oh, following her,
That's
thank
the phone
you,
number.
yeah, you can follow her.
Yeah.
Public safety.
I'm gonna write it down. I think it's 4525354.
Here.
Oh, got it.
I mean, that just seemed like overwhelming.
5354.
She probably-
Bye, guys, thank you.
Bye-bye. Oh, you're
Thank you
welcome.
very much, I
I like the
appreciate it.
shirt.
Okay,
Yeah, I
thank
do
you.
too. I mean, well, I remember that. I grew up over there. I remember when Merrimack was wonderful and Virginia was
Jewelry
wonderful.
stores and.
Well, yeah, Merrimack had everything, and even Virginia had, it was fun.
Saying they paid too much
You
tax
could-
already.
There were hardware stores, there were everything over there. A&P Food Store, remember that? Remember
was
the
that?
Sherbert shop
Conway.
on, see, I remember going over there.
Where was the A&P on Merrimack?
Where the dollar store, there's a dollar, down
We are-
closer to Bates,
On Virginia?
on Virginia.
Oh, okay, kind of where Aldi's is and the dollar store was?
No, it's not Aldi's, it's a dollar.
I haven't been down there.
Yeah, it's a Dollar General or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an AP when we were kids.
Starts on page 1.
I heard a lot of clapping, because they combined.
If we can come back to order, thank you. We have the Director of Public Safety, and what I would like you to do is to do your department, Division of Corrections, and Fire Department. Go through each of those departments and tell me any significant changes in the budget that may impact the services our residents are used to seeing, or if there's something for public safety that has to be pointed out to us, feel free to do that.
Okay. Well, as you know, we, in the Public Safety Department, represent the biggest chunk of city services, over 3,300 employees in 9 divisions. In the Director's Office budget, there's really no significant changes to report, you know. Of course, we'd all love to have a whole lot more money, but we understand we've run out of nickels to rub together, and there are certainly higher priorities than that. The City Emergency Management Agency is relatively unchanged, as is the Civilian Oversight Board. There were just a couple of cuts in non-salary items. The Corrections Division offset some of their increases which were expected for the medical contract and the food service contract with salary savings and reduction in overtime. Let's see, special events is unchanged. Excise division's salary level went down a little bit because of the, because the new commissioner's probably gonna get paid less than the former commissioner. And we budget at the minimum of the salary range anyway, so Paul wouldn't let us get by with doing anything higher than that. Fire and EMS had some changes, and some of them, I think, maybe merit some consideration, some discussion. The fire chief is here to talk about them. I am concerned about a couple of the line items that were reduced with respect to supplies and medicines on EMS, because they're not getting any cheaper, but I think we have a way to offset some of that. It's all not bad news. Neighborhood stabilization was cut 3 positions, a neighborhood improvement supervisor, a neighborhood improvement specialist, and a customer service rep. I would have liked to have the opportunity to do it, to maybe get to that bottom line a different way. But we'll see if maybe we can figure out something later in the fiscal year. In the police department, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to act, I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert on that highly complicated budget. You know, I'm very familiar with the other 8 divisions of public safety, but the different funds and the different coding and the, history of the police department I'm ignorant of, except for the last 3 years, and I've been working real hard to fully grasp what their budget means, and I'm not quite there yet, so that's why the experts in the police department probably need to talk about that. But I do understand that we did lose a number of civilian positions, but gained a number of police department or police officers in the trainee category, which is important.
Yeah.
And so there was also, I understand you already heard the Division of Building and
Yes.
Inspection earlier, right? So,
Yes, we did.
that's, I think I talked very briefly about each one of them, and so we have members, we have,
If you would introduce your full staff, that would be.
yes, okay, this is Fire Chief Dennis Jenkerson, or Fire Commissioner Dennis Jenkerson. This is Kim Maloney, she is the Chief Financial Officer for the Division of Corrections. And this is the Commissioner of Corrections, Dale Glass. This is Nicole Barton, she is the Commissioner of the Civilian Oversight Board. We have Dottie Pennington, you all know her, Neighborhood Stabilization Executive Director. Over there in the corner, hiding, are two of my immediate staff members, Rebecca Hodge. Some of you will deal with her pretty closely with the Proposition S crime prevention contracts. And Kim Cole, she does a little bit of everything in our organization. And did I miss anybody from public safety? I don't think so.
All right, well, thank you.
I think we probably have police department people outside. We ask them to be here too. Again, because I'm very weak in understanding the ins and outs of that entire.
Right, and
entire budget. I am.
we'll take them up as soon as we're done with these three departments. Okay, so, we'll see if any of our members have questions. Alderman Moore,
No questions.
Alderman Vaccaro.
I do just a very few. Fire Chief, are you fairly happy with, I mean, never happy, but fairly happy, able to operate in EMS and everything with the budget as it is, or is there?
I've got a few serious concerns, yes.
I'd like to hear them, and I'd like you to come up here and hear them.
We wouldn't have to call an ambulance for you.
Okay, so fire. What page is fire start? Let's see.
205.
Okay. Hang on one
I'll wait till
second. Chief.
Fire starts on 205.
As we all turn to page 205 in our book.
Okay.
Chief, you're,
You ready?
yeah,
I'm letting everybody get their spots in this. in the
Do you know
homework.
what page 205 says, or would you like me to get it?
You can pull it up. I got a pretty good idea what it says.
No, it turns out I don't have page 205.
that's okay, because, I mean, what
It's
your
okay, we're good.
concern?
Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna make a little statement here. I've tried to, I was told by the director to soften it up a little bit, but I've been doing this now, coming up on 39 years in June. I've been coming before this board for almost 10 years now. Every year, I worry about the cuts that are made within the fire and EMS service. Every night, I worry about the cuts that are made in the fire and EMS service. Right now, 2/3 of my fleet, my trucks, we're working on 20-year-old trucks. So we got some very serious capital needs also. One-third of that fleet will be replaced, hopefully by October, as some of the equipment comes in from the bond issue, so I'm very appreciative of that. But we still have about a third that we're gonna need to work on quickly, because it will approach 20 years old. Unfortunately, fire departments are not response models. You can't plug in numbers and come out with an efficient fire department every year. Every time we try and look at some more efficiencies, it hurts the ability of the fire department to respond. Fire departments have to be resilient. We're not allowed, I mean, we just can't maximize efficiencies year over year, and that's what we've been asked to do. I know there's a new department within the city, in the office. We have the Department of Resiliency. Resiliency equals survival. Fortunately, we haven't had any major storms this year. The flooding kind of went around us, if you will, so we didn't get pulled into that. So that did save us some money, and also probably saved us lives. If we keep cutting the fire department like we have, over the past 10 years, we've become a very fragile department, and a very fragile department doesn't allow for survival of our public, and that's what I worry about on a daily basis. When I put together a budget, I don't ask for presents, it's not a wish list. It's a very conservative request for what I think I need for my department to operate day in, day out, 24/7, 365. And unfortunately, it's expensive for the fire department to operate. We're down 44 firefighters since I took over the fire department. We had an original staff of 631. We're down to about 580 something right now based on what happened with this budget. So quite a bit of what I asked for was in salaries. I don't see me getting 44 new firefighters. On a daily basis, we close 2 fire department companies every day. And that hurts the effect or the ability of us to respond on calls in the city. Yes, sir.
Just one fast question. As you're talking about this, are we still being affected on our homeowners insurance by this? Is our whatever that was, how we're rated?
ISO.
The ISO rating, right, we're still at a level 2. The fire department has provided movement to correct that, but we're at a point now where just moving on fire department services and EMS department services will not affect the ISO. One of the biggest things affecting our ISO rating right now is the lack of a public safety answering point or a coordinated dispatch center between police, fire, and EMS. That's one of the big holdups right now, and that's about a $15 million proposition.
But it will save everyone on their insurance costs.
Correct.
Because their insurance costs will go.
Yes, and we have been in
because of
discussions
that.
with how we're gonna go about affecting that change and providing for a PSAP center, a public safety answering point. We are working on that right now, but as of yet, there's nothing concrete on that.
And just, it's still, as part of my question, the money that was 10 million going to Metrolink, 10 million going, part of that is going to you guys for fire trucks and stuff, at least as far as I had.
I mean, with the last GEO bond issue, Mark?
Yeah.
Right, we're buying 10 new fire trucks.
No, not the geo bond. On the last ballot, had the Metrolink and it had.
Right.
And it passed.
Are you talking about the April?
Yeah.
Yeah, and 10
You mean
million of that is
Proposition one?
supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Prop one?
Proposition, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's going to, or if any was allocated for a PSAP center, I can't answer that, I don't know.
Did the fire department receive any part of that? 'Cause I thought-
No,
We haven't even gotten
We
that
haven't gotten that far yet.
They have to set up a committee and
Right.
to allocate those funds.
Okay, I just,
Was gonna go.
that was for my own, because I didn't know it was for my own, because there should be funds there, but, okay, I'm sorry, Chief, I didn't mean to disrupt, I'm sorry.
Okay, so a big part of what we asked for this year was in positions and salaries. I've asked for approximately the same 7 civilian positions for my department for the past 10 years. I've got firefighters who I work in certain positions with inside the administration that I would rather put back on the streets and have civilians take those spots. I'll go through those. Electronic instrument technician, this is an individual who takes care of our radios. I've got almost 1,000 radios on the fire department side, both mobile and portable. I've got 1 full-time paid employee that takes care of all those radios. I've asked for a second one for the past 10 years. I have a firefighter that we move in and out to assist him. As an electronic instrument technician, that total cost with benefits is about $53,000. When we went through reorganization of our EMS billing 3 years ago, which we have since done again, and we're in a better position right now, I lost a couple positions with inside my accounting department. I really need to have another accountant, one, which total cost that was taken out of the budget, which was $48,852, with this with EMS payroll. When we outsourced EMS billing, I lost that position. I've also asked for a technical support specialist, one, which is a position that would help my IT department. We've got one of the largest IT departments in the city, and again, I have a firefighter part-time in there, working, trying to keep all my computers on the ambulances up and running. The ambulances on the computers help me bill, so that provides revenue to the city. So I'd rather put that firefighter on the street, and believe me, she does a fantastic job, but that's really not what she was hired to do. I also asked for additional paramedics and EMTs. Right now, I run 12 ambulances on a 24-hour basis. We bring in approximately, last year we brought in approximately $12 million. So, keeping it very simple math, which is what I'm good at, is simple math. Each ambulance brings in about $1 million in revenue, okay? On a daily basis, we outsource 50 to 60 calls per day to private ambulances. On a yearly basis, I kick out almost 22,000 calls to private ambulance services. What I'm asking to increase is, I want to add 2 ambulances to the St. Louis Fire Department on a 24-hour basis. That's a cost of about $780,000 to add 2 ambulances.
Chief, what is the cost of the outsourcing? What are we paying outside companies?
We don't.
It's a
We
percent.
don't. If they get the call, they're
Okay.
responsible for billing the patient.
So they
Or the
get
patient's
no
insurance. No,
charge.
it doesn't cost us, well, it costs us potential
We're
revenue.
losing out on
Right.
But we
revenue.
don't, there is no exchange of money for that. There's, no,
Okay. Thank
they're
you.
on their own.
I was curious.
No, we don't, no. The cost of adding 2 ambulances is about $780,000. So if each ambulance brings in $1 million, I would say we're still a little more than $1 million ahead. So that was one of the cuts. There was also a cut in 5236, which is our communications budget. And that buys us radios, batteries, provides for phones and Nextel and communication packages. I cut 10,000 out of that budget. That's a very important budget. Okay, here's a good one. Drugs and medicine. The drugs and medicine in our service has gone up significantly over the past couple of years, and especially this past year. All these drug companies realize that we're running a lot of heroin overdoses, other type of overdoses. They have realized that the EMS services are the primary care providers for the city of St. Louis. You know, we're running almost 70,000 calls a year with 12 ambulances. Okay? You look at a city that's comparative to us, Kansas City, that runs approximately 70,000 calls, they're running 18 ambulances a day. So there's a big difference there, a big call load difference. Just to give you an idea, 2014, we were averaging 65 doses per month of Narcan. Okay? 2015, we were averaging 98 doses a month. 2016, 160 doses a month. Year to date, in 2017, we're averaging about 170 a month. So our cost just for one drug, Narcan, which is the drug that provides for the stimulation of the respiratory systems. 2014, I spent $19,000. 15, I spent $29,000. 16, I spent $37,000. This year, I'm on pace to spend $100,000 on drugs. Okay, so it's starting to get out of hand, and of course, it comes out of my budget. And I need that drug budget reallocated. The request was for $155,000, but it was reallocated to $130,000. So we took about $25,000 out of it. There's also a request that we put in a non-capital equipment, which replaces computers and workstations and things that we need to provide for the daily response of the fire department. We asked for $340,000, they allocated 0. Which makes it kind of very difficult to function. Public safety, public health, is products such as, we need to replace some of our cylinders, our SCBA, our breathing tanks. We asked for $117,000 in that. We also have a problem right now with cancer in the fire department. 2 to 3 guys, members, on a monthly period are being diagnosed with cancer. And it's not lung cancer, it's gastrointestinal cancer. It's different cancers of the neck and skin area. It's because of the products that we're experiencing on a daily basis, because of all the man-made products in these houses. When I came on, we saw cotton, wood, wool, that's what was burning. Now it's all synthetics. So we've got a new cancer initiative on the fire department, which we're following the guidelines of the NFPA and the International Association of Fire Chiefs. As soon as the firefighters come out of the building, they're washing off their face. We're not allowing them to drink or eat anything until everything's wiped off. So we're buying a different type of wipe so they can get cleaned up. The other recommendation, and we're about a third of the way through this, is a second set of gear for all firefighters. So if they have a couple house fires back to back, their fire coats and their fire pants get taken away, they get washed, and they get a different set. They go to their backup set, which is gonna help. The cost of the cancer initiative up front, here we're looking at about $600,000, but on the backside, every time I lose a guy to cancer, it's costing us a whole lot more. And cancers are, I mean, 2 guys died in March with gastrointestinal cancers. 22% of our population will get cancer. 68% of the fire departments, firefighters, will get cancer. That's a big difference. That money was cut out of our budget. There's other, on the contractual side, 5,600. They've made some cuts to our contracts that are in place, which means if they don't accommodate what we requested, when we start the new budget year, we're gonna be in a deficit to start the year. So that's another concern of mine. I'll stop there, that's enough.
Chief, can you get me a copy summary of that?
Yes.
So I can get it to all the different members, so they, because I don't think we'll remember all that, at least I know.
I will add one more thing while I'm thinking about it. It's not within my budget. I'm speaking for somebody else's budget. The Department of Personnel had some money in their budget to do promotional testing for the St. Louis Fire Department. I requested promotional testing on a reoccurring basis every 3 years. We've been 3 years since we gave the last promotional test, and that money was taken out. And to keep the fire department on top of their game, keep all the guys studying and in the books, having a 3-year test seems reasonable to me. Most guys have gone 10 years before they've taken their first test, which is not a good thing. St. Louis Police Department tests every 2 years. You know, we're about half their strength, so 3 years, I think it's gonna take them a year to get this promotional testing in line, so that'll put it at 4 years, and I think that's the maximum, because testing on a regular basis does improve the efficiency, it improves the, how fire department, how well they do their job. It also, more importantly, improves the morale of the department when we have regular testing for a promotional basis. And it improves the quality of leaderships I'm gonna get within captain and battalion chief rank, so.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions, just
Sam,
want to see all that.
do you have questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I know we started with you. Go ahead.
How many firemen do we have?
584 in the city, and I got 62 more in the county, or in the airport, I'm sorry, at the airport.
And how many do you need?
That's a double-sided question, Alderman. We have,
I'm a double-sided man.
I know you are. You always got- Now, I'll give you the exact answer to that. What I've asked for was to return to a 630-man force in the city. What that does, it raises our relief factor, it's gonna lower our overtime. The other side of that question is, right now, we're operating at 585 members, basically, but to do that, we took away 2 of their days off. That's how we've affected that. We did that in 08, 09.
Well, what happens was in calculating the relief factor for any 24/7 operation, you take into account how many days they're available to work, and I thought it was 3. I thought we went from 8 to 5 O days.
Well, I'm talking overall days. We used to get so many O days and so many H days, and it was 12.
So when you reduce the number of days off that everybody has, you increase the availability of people to work more days, right?
Right.
So that reduction from 631 to 587 had everything to do with that.
Right.
Plus, also, we've been well, it used to be alternating, now it's pretty much every day. Shutting down a couple of the companies that are in double houses, so a firehouse is not closed. It's double houses, where it would take more than one person on overtime to have the human resources, because I'm trying hard to find a word that's not manning the fire truck, but have the human resources available on that truck. So it takes more than one, we don't have it, as a means to control overtime. And that just frankly started under more than 10 years ago.
Since
And
08.
so now, it happens pretty much all day, every day. But that was mostly about an increase in the availability of firemen. So you didn't need as many full complement of firemen to still staff the existing companies.
Right. What it did, it took our hours that we work per week from 52 to about 54 and a half, by taking 2 days away from all the firefighters per year. That's
So
what we
not
changed.
carefully managed, it has the potential of increasing overtime.
How's your minority quota being fulfilled?
You know, in the last couple classes, I thought it was fairly good. We were running around, right around 40% with the last couple classes. I can't say what the next class will look like, because I do not get those numbers from personnel. I don't know what the minority quotas, the minority makeup of the classes until I actually ask for the class and I start interviewing. Because I'm not allowed to look at who's on the list.
Do you know how many blacks compared to whites are on the force?
Right now, we're running right at about 40%, I'd say 39% right now, Alderman.
Okay. How many firehouses do we have?
30.
Are they in good shape?
Sorry.
You know, right now, most of the firehouses that needed priority repairs are being repaired with the bond issue. Mostly, we went after the roofs, repairing the roofs and the priorities, and we're also fixing some of the HVAC systems in the priority houses.
You're 100 years old, it's tough, it's tough.
Yeah, it's constant maintenance. It costs the city a lot of money to keep these firehouses up there. The HVAC systems are very inefficient. The biggest problem we're having now with a lot of our firehouses is the concrete failing, because it's 100 years old. And it can only sustain 80,000-pound vehicles for so many years. You know, so we're repairing a lot of platforms and floors and things like that. They're 100 years old, like I said, I've been looking at how are we gonna build new firehouses, and I've been working on that for 7 years, so yes, I've got a plan. No, I don't have the money. You know, you look at building a firehouse and you're looking at about $7 to $10 million minimum. I don't think that's the way to go. I think there's a better way to build public safety facilities that combine police, fire, and EMS, neighborhood stabilization, and aldermen having areas to hold meetings in, which is a whole nother discussion, which I don't wanna get into.
What did you say you lose daily? You alluded to something that you lost a house or a fireman or somebody you.
On the average per pay period, I lose 1.5 firemen per pay period on a yearly basis. My EMS medic side is even worse. I'm losing about 2 medics per pay period, EMTs and medics, because they're going to the county, they're going to other places where they have less calls and make more money.
How do you choose those positions? You say you had some firemen that was doing civilian work.
Well, we look for people who have degrees in computer technology. We have a few firefighters that have degrees in accounting, and that's how we kind of move them in and out and help with our administrative, our payroll offices, our IT, and our radio departments.
And you need 2 ambulances,
That would help considerably.
$780,000 apiece.
Total for 2.
Okay. Oh, well, 2 of them.
They're a whole lot cheaper than fire trucks.
My nephew is 37 years old, and he is a heroin addict. So I asked him the other day, how was he doing with his habit? He said he wasn't worried about it because the firemen are gonna save his life when he overdosed. But we're sending the wrong message that these guys reach the ultimate of the highs, overdosing. And we bring them back from that overdose, and they continue to do their illicit use of drugs. What do you think about that?
You know, that's Alderman, that's not only a difficult question, but it's a very good question. I've got friends of mine who have children that have become hooked on heroin, very good friends of mine. To say that the fire department or EMS shouldn't respond with the reagent medication, Narcan, which is what we use to bring them back. I know there's people who argue to the fact that, well, if they want to try the product, then they deserve to die, but, you know, you look at it on the other side, this is such a addictive drug, and it's everywhere. You know, there has to be something else done above the fire department level to address this situation. I'm trying to address it from the point that I'm trying to save people's children. That's what I'm trying to do. You know, to blame a child who's got hooked up with the wrong group and tried this product, and they might try it one time and it puts them down because they're lacing it now with fentanyl, which is what, I mean, 10, 20 times stronger than heroin. And then when they get tired of using fentanyl, they use cardenafil, which is a veterinary tranquilizer, which is 100 times stronger than fentanyl. One little speck of it the size of a grain of salt, you get it on your skin, will knock you down. So, you know, like I said, that's, to me, we're in a part, as a first responder, as a firefighter, as somebody who cares about life, I mean, I've got to respond. I got to try and save somebody's child, save somebody's nephew, brother, mother, whatever. You know, I don't know how they got hooked on the product, but it's everywhere. City, county, wealthy, poor, doesn't matter.
Thanks, and I congratulate you on your department. You're an outstanding leader.
Thank you.
And I don't say that about many people in the city.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you for coming in. We've tried to put in a call to the captain, not the captain, the chief of police, and see if we can get him over here a little early. Do you have his cell phone number?
I do. Let me step out and take care of that. I thought he would be here.
Well, we're a little early.
You got more time?
I can't afford it.
He could go on forever, yeah.
We might want to talk to Dottie Pennington about NSO.
Yeah, let's
We're
talk
okay
about
for now, Joe.
She's sitting there.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Just call him or text him and see if they can come over a little early.
Somebody's sitting here. I'm curious what I ask. Oh, this is not the good news, I tell ya.
Good morning, and we're gonna go ahead and resume our meeting. Chief, what we have, what we'd like you to do is go highlight the significant changes in your budget from this year, this year from last year, in particular, what you think impacts the public safety the most. And before you start, if you would introduce the members of your staff, that would be great.
Okay, of course, I'm Larry O'Toole, Major Mike Caruso, Lieutenant Mike McAteer, and Dave Daniels, our budget director.
All right, you have the floor.
Okay, good morning. Before I begin, I'd like to read just a short statement concerning our budget. The number one issue the police department now faces is retaining and attracting commissioned officers. This directly impacts our ability to provide the policing services that our citizens expect. The budget in front of you represents a largely status quo budget. But before I discuss any specifics about the budget, I want to bring you up to date on some events that have a detrimental effect on our staffing levels in the short and long term. The elephant in the room today, for me, is the recent passage of Prop P in St. Louis County. You've all heard Proposition P and its effect on the St. Louis County Police Department. But even before St. Louis County starts receiving additional tax revenue from this measure, it is currently in a position to hire as many of 16 of our officers immediately to fill their vacancies. In July of this year, the county will publish its upcoming pay scale. I can't tell you how many of our officers will choose to apply, but I can tell you that the general direction is not good when it comes to our department staffing level. I am trying very hard to create a good working environment for our officers to encourage retention, but we really need to offer our officers and future recruits some sign that we're moving in a direction to make us competitive as far as compensation. I also want to make you aware of a similar issue we're experiencing with attracting and retaining police dispatchers. Their salaries are significantly lower than their counterparts in St. Louis County. The county's pays a starting salary of $35,547 for the dispatchers. Our dispatchers, after they complete their probationary period, make $30,394. As I stated before, the budget has not changed dramatically since last year. 24 additional police trainee positions were added, but we have had a net reduction of 8 civilian positions in our regular general fund budget, along with 5 park rangers and 1 deputy marshal. An attorney 1 position has been added solely to work on sunshine law requests. Our overtime budget remains level, and I am taking steps to reduce the amount of overtime used. The only significant non-payroll item of interest is our proposed purchase of a new logging recorder. The current logging reporter system that archives all the 911 and police radio calls in the city of St. Louis is plagued with technical issues and does not meet the needs of the city's public safety answering system, point, the 911 system. The new system will provide a better user interface that will reduce the time currently spent to search, retrieve, and re-record selected archive files to media for dissemination to the courts and interdepartment personnel. In addition, the new system will have the operational and technical capacity to include the fire and EMS dispatch centers in the event of consolidation with the police dispatch center. The logging recorder costs $180,000. I have many other capital needs of which I can provide you a list. I only hesitate to do so because I plead with you that any additional funds you have to direct it toward compensation.
Thank you, Chief. And I do know that Mayor Cruzen, is aware of that, and, we have reserved the Proposition 2 money, because we won't get that until later this year. It doesn't start until October 1st, but, I'm sure there'll be other varied needs. Your comrade, the fire chief, had a long list too. And, all of our departments have had a long list this year, because it is a tough year. Alderman Moore, any questions?
Yes, sir. Lack of patrol, lack of respect. That allows a criminal the opportunity to do what he want to do because he don't see the police officers. I've seen a police patrol wagon come down my street twice this year. I have hot spots all over my ward. And like you said to me the other day, we have some work to do, especially in that 4th ward. I think I'm one of the biggest contributors of crime. But when the criminals don't see policemen patrolling, they have the opportunity to do their illicit trade or whatever they're doing. Ashland and Newstead is a very hot spot in my ward. Ashland and Newstead. The major's coming in now.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, when I'm speaking. It's gonna be a while you can have a seat if you like.
It's good, right, sit right there.
Right here by me.
Perfect timing.
I was told by a police sergeant one time who's no longer with the force that they can't patrol east of Newstead in my ward unless they're 911. My citizens don't see the police at all. I know the major here is doing a magnificent job. He's doing the best he can, but he don't have, this is the Holy Ghost, it's not nerves. He don't have what he need in order to suffice our community. Newstead Avenue from Ashland all the way to St. Louis Avenue is a prostitution strip. Drugs. I noticed that the guys were raiding stores yesterday. I don't know if they came from your command, but all the stores, I got 41 of them, raid all of them. They have a reputation. I got on my phone, I'm gonna let you and Major Hayden listen to a guy threatening my life about what they was gonna do to me because I wouldn't let them have to get liquor in one of the stores in the community. Everybody wants liquor. I have 22 liquor establishments in my community. If you can't get drunk off of the 22, you don't need to get drunk at all. But they're noted for selling guns, K2, Molly, lean. Lean is a cough medicine mixed with codeine, and they sell it across the counter. But when I stopped telling the police a lot of stuff. I have a trust in Major Hayden. But I was being let go by officers. I would say that this guy's selling drugs, this guy's selling heroin, this guy, I know where all the bones are buried. I've been living in that neighborhood since 1956. But when a dope dealer ride up on me and say, Sam, don't tell the police what we're doing, tell us and we'll slow it down. That I have been betrayed. And that keeps me from giving you all the information that I know because I don't feel protected. And the guys that go into protective custody can't get protection. They get killed in court. I wear a badge like you do, but I'm a lawmaker, but I don't flash my badge. I just have it on. Sometimes it protects me from getting my head busted when I walk into the crowd. But I need some help. Hot spotting by Sam, and I like Sam Dotson, but hot spotting by Sam Dotson was a joke. I think he confused the police department by redistricting the way he did the police. I think that's a joke that lowered the bar and weakened the situation. But let me get back on what I'm on. Major Hayden, is that such a thing that they can't be patrolled east of Newstead unless they're called now?
No, sir, that is absolutely not true.
So why we don't see an increase in patrols?
Well, hey, I was just looking, and I was looking for the 6th district side, and this is, you know, hey, all this is about timing. But now Graterville, which is the stores that we talked about a lot, you know, Newstead and Ashland, Newstead and St. Louis Avenue, that actually is down 27% in person crime today. So I just ran these before I left. I ran these crime numbers, and these are as accurate as the department can get. So it's down 27%. So I'm saying, so we're actually doing pretty good in some of those concentrated areas. You know, so even though, hey, we've sent John McLaughlin, we've sent some crews in there to a couple of the stores that you've mentioned to me. I won't name the stores, but a couple of those stores are based on the that CERC problem, the whole issue of putting codeine inside of cough syrup, that kind of thing. Interesting enough, unless we can prove that it's, you know, this is something that came up last week, unless we can prove that there's actually codeine in it, the fact that you can sell single, believe it or not, and we were shocked by it, it came up in a meeting last week, you can sell single serving cough syrup. And I think that sounds very question mark, but that came up in a meeting.
Not mixed with a
Of
pill.
course, not mixed with
That's
that's
a
exactly right.
substitute for heroin.
No, absolutely right. No, I'm just saying the fact that if the proof would have to be, it would have to get analyzed. The
We
fact.
have crack pipes sitting on the
I'm
counter,
with you. I'm with
and when they're selling Molly, they're selling guns.
No, Alderman, I'm not disputing the facts. I'm just saying that I even went into that meeting believing that somebody's selling a single, just that alone, selling a single serving of cough syrup is a telltale sign of somebody selling something illegal. It's just that act alone is not illegal. Of course, if it's got codeine in it or heroin in it or something like that, it's altogether different. And we have sent people in there to attempt to make buys. I know the one you were telling me about that they'll sell.
Will you have time after this meeting
Surely,
to visit
absolutely.
with the alderman?
Absolutely.
Okay, then that way you can exchange the details
Absolutely.
you need to exchange.
Alderman, we spoke last week, there's no doubt that your ward, it needs a lot of help. Some things that I've already done is I've increased manpower in our special operations unit. Now, that's not uniformed officers, but they are uniformed with their vests that clearly mark them as police officers. And we're looking at hot individuals. You talk about hotspot policing. We're looking at hot individuals, and you know who the hot individuals are, and we know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a targeted type of patrols along this line. But really, what you just spoke of is something that's going on throughout this city. Okay, is our aggravated gun assaults in the city of St. Louis, our non-fatals, are driving our crime numbers. And it's because people are getting shot and they don't tell us who shot them. They don't cooperate at all. And so that speaks to all of this, everybody in this room. How do we get people to come forth and help us fight crime? We had an individual who was shot recently in the legs. And when the police got there, a 19-year-old, when the police got there, he told the police, I won't answer your questions. You'll have to talk to him, and he'll ask me the questions, and I'll respond to him, but I won't respond to you. Now, how do you think that went? Doesn't go very well.
You don't have a good reputation of protecting us. We need to be protected.
Exactly,
And
but
you don't
that's
have a
your-
good reputation. You got bad cops out here that's taking drugs from people, beating people up. Ray got their own drug sales. They got a reputation, and you don't have a good reputation. So why would I sacrifice my life? Why would I sacrifice my life to inform and tell you something when I, as a legislator, cannot tell you nothing and you don't keep that a secret?
All I can say is, everything you're saying is tell me the answers. Tell me the answers, okay? We can be part of the problem or part of the solution.
Yeah.
We all have to work together to resolve these. You bring that to me, give me the guy's name who threatened you, I'll arrest him today.
O'Toole, I have been promised the promised land since I've been an alderman, and I've been living in that neighborhood since 1956. Here's a perfect example.
Alderman, I have problems in my ward.
Steve, I'm not cutting you off.
No, I know,
Let's
I
not
have
get
problems
started.
in my ward.
Let's not do this,
and-
please.
But
Let
we
me
are
finish.
working on the budget.
I'm not finished.
Okay, let's get into some questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not finished. Why is it that I got the 4-4 gang on Cobria in the 4400 block having parties, blocking off a city street, entertaining themselves, where the young man just got killed recently on the block, and then I got what they call the wildebeest gang. They're on the 4200 block of Aldine. 4200 between Annie Malone and Billups. We go over there and run them off from selling drugs. It'd be 40 or 50 of them sometimes selling drugs with the street blocked off. We tell them, we go over there and rough them up, and then they move to the 4200 block of Cobria. They go to 1723 Billups. They go to the 4400 block of Cobria. They go to Taylor and Cottage, and Taylor and St. Ferdinand, Ashland and Newstead. These are the hot spots where these guys are career criminals. They have a license to sell drugs. They sell more drugs than Walgreens. And I need something done about it. I need that to be cleared out so my citizens, I can't get the kids from Sumner High School down Billups because you got everybody standing on the corner, Martin Luther King and Billups. You got them at 1723 North Billups. And they've been doing this since I was their coach 30 years ago. They're career criminals, and they do this all the time. And everybody know that, you know, there's Reggie's house at 1723. You know that the people on Aldine are selling big drugs, but they keep continuing to do this and shooting every night. I call every night, 2-3 times a night. Pop, pop, they're shooting on Garfield and Newstead. And believe it or not, somebody is down. Always getting shot or running, chasing one another. And we need this cleared up because we want to be a part of the city of St. Louis. We feel trapped over there. I need some help. I'm gonna let go before me and Conway get into it, because we will get into it by the.
Okay, but Major, you'll visit with
Cutting
Alderman
me
Moore.
off.
Absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As soon as we're done today, and Chief, you can respond.
Can I have, yes.
It won't work.
I would tell you that we've increased, we've just moved our gang squad over to help with some other issues. So it's too early to see the results, but everything you just said to me, you need to say to the circuit attorney, okay? Because I can tell you, we arrest people every day, and they're released. They're not charged. And they're not charged because people don't want to come forward to be witnesses for a number of reasons. So, but this isn't, what I'm trying to say is we all need to embrace this. We all need to come up with the solutions to the problems. And in order to make these neighborhoods safer and make sure that these people are off the streets, it takes everybody to come forth and cooperate and be willing to be witnesses in court and testify and to come forth and tell us who's doing these things and give us the names of the people who are threatening them.
Okay. Alderman Vaccaro.
Couple things. One, all your notes, if you can send that to the board with all your suggestions, either send it to me and I'll get it to the board, so that we know the different numbers you're talking about. I will, also, maybe we, as a board, we can actually create an ordinance outlawing single shot. You know, so I mean, that's doable. So if there's ordinances you think we can do that might help, I wouldn't mind you letting us know
Sure.
so that we can work on those ordinances. Because one of the things, Sam, we could probably do is outlaw the single shot, which would give them something to work
Joe,
with.
what we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on a major.
Oh, no, I
Oh,
understand,
it's-
and I
it's
understand the
horrible.
point that, because I've called, and luckily I don't have, we live in the same neighborhood, we don't have the same problems, but I can tell you, you know, I've called for speeding along Watson and different streets.
Okay, Alderman,
I
let's get
understand,
back,
but let me-
let's
let
get
me-
back to
We
questions.
are, give me a minute, but I can tell you, to Sam's point, that when I would push it, because the chief would be like, Joe, we don't, you guys, we gotta do it anyway. They pull people over and say, this is compliments of your alderman, Joe Carroll. And I did call, and you can call Sam back, and I said, Sam, is that really necessary for them to say that? He got mad because I would push the issue. So I would have to say that, you know, sometimes the guys.
My answer to that would be, it's compliments of you speeding. You know, all these things are really easy. It's about obeying the law. You know, my job of
Well,
enforcing the law
and that's-
is pretty easy when everybody obeys the law.
That's what I told the old chief. I said, you know, just enforce the law. You don't need to say, I represent the neighborhood. But I don't have a lot of questions.
Alderwoman Howard.
I'm still working on it.
Well, I haven't heard a question yet.
Well, you have too.
Okay.
He's leading up.
You've
Go
heard-
ahead and ask some
You've heard-
questions.
You've heard questions. You heard that what I need,
All right,
that's for the board, right? Did you hear that one?
let's go with questions.
Okay, so I do need all that. We need to know what your needs are so I can get it out to the members. What ordinances might actually help do that? And the rest, I'll just call you about, because it's got to do with speeding and enforcement, you know. I would think, and this is a question, why we're not writing more tickets? You would think there'd be income from writing tickets. You know, speeding tickets. I mean, that's probably one, not only just my neighborhood, but I think I hear it all over the place. The biggest number one complaint, and luckily in our neighborhood, it's speeding.
Right.
People want me to put speed bumps up and down every street, they're wanting stop signs every 4 feet. But the answer really is enforcement. And I would think that it would be, you know, to the,
Advantage.
yeah, that if we had actually, you know, and I realize we talked the other day, you talked about the highway patrol and all that stuff, but just a question, wouldn't that bring income in?
I'm not in, I'm not in the income business. I think that, you know, I would be careful along those lines, because we know in these small municipalities in St. Louis County, I think that that's what they got banged for, was they were out there policing for money. I'm not, hey, I'm policing in order for safety. You know, as I just said, when people obey the law, my job of law enforcement is really easy. So and that concerns speeding all the way up to shooting in neighborhoods.
Well,
When people
okay,
obey the law, you know,
But fines aside, it's a major complaint.
it's throughout the city, speeding in every ward. It's a, you know, quality of life of people that they see that. And it's probably the number one complaint really when you go citywide of this type of all traffic, you know, running stop signs, speeding. Those are all very similar complaints.
Is this something these guys plan to try to address?
Well, I will tell you that I'm working with the highway patrol.
That's the highway, but what about?
Well,
Neighborhood.
that should help us with trying, if I can get the highway patrol to come and do the highways, okay, that should help us concentrate more on our city streets. Okay, and that's what I'm hopeful will happen.
And we're friends, and I have all the confidence in the world that you're gonna do a great job. and
I've lived in the
hope
city
you-
all my life, and I don't want speeding down my block either.
So, anyway, thank you, please get.
Alderwoman Howard.
He's in a
Chief
rush.
O'Toole, at this point, and you probably, told this story, how many men would bring your force up to capacity, to what you feel is capacity, and how much money do you need to bring the men up to a parity with the county?
You know, we don't have the numbers yet from St. Louis County. I spoke very recently with the county, and they are gonna publicize their pay list in July.
Okay.
When that happens, hey, I gotta tell you, I have some pretty serious concerns when that happens. Now, you know, our officers do a wonderful job, and I think that so many of them are here because they wanna be here. They like being here. But we have to show them that we gotta
Appreciate them,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely.
And we have to
So,
compensate them fairly.
Yes, right. And that's the point. Even if they can see that happening, goes a long way. So, that's really the number one. When I came on the city police department 33 and a half years ago, we had over almost 1,600 officers. You know, and you look at where we are today, you know, we could certainly use more officers. The exact number, I hate to even say, I mean, Chief Dotson said, hey, I needed 200 more over where we were at, okay?
Okay.
So I think that's a fair statement to say that. The money that comes along with that, I'd have to ask my budget guy as far as, hey, crunching those numbers is for 200 officers.
Does he have those in his pocket?
No, I do not.
Right,
And-
right.
And although because the department personnel is really responsible for pay negotiations, it probably is inappropriate to be talking about
What?
the specific.
I'm just saying
Right.
hypothetically, you
Right.
know, a ballpark figure,
Right.
what would it take? You know, what are we looking for to find in our budget? I mean,
Right.
uh,
I think
you
the
know,
immediate thing is once St. Louis County publishes their list.
So
I
then
think-
you can draw the
I think we're,
parallels.
right, then we're gonna know pretty clearly where we're at, and that'll just, so then we can, hey, I think we gotta look short-term and long-term. So
Right.
short-term is. hey,
Get
we-
those guys
get
on the
those-
street some money.
Right, get the officers on the street, and then come and say, hey, what can we afford
For long-term.
for longer
and
term?
incentives to
Right,
stay.
but we'll know definitely, sometime in July when
And
they publish
I
it.
understand that, you know, I've worked in St. Louis Public Schools. I could have went to the county many times. I stayed in the city
Right.
because I felt that's where I belong.
Right, and that's the vast majority of our officers. They like it, they love it in the city, they like working here, but they got
They
families
gotta
to support.
be compensated.
Right,
And
absolutely.
we went, you know, I mean, I kind of relate that to my experience in my career. You know, we had
Right.
long dry spells, but, you know, when we were compensated fairly, it was, you know, a joy to behold.
Right.
So I just want to know, now, you're saying the county will have their list out?
In July, I talked to the county just the other day,
Okay.
and I was told that, they're gonna publish their pay scales in July.
Okay.
So we're gonna know then in July.
So
But-
can you tell me this, as far as, and I guess you don't know this because you don't have that, as far as the rank and file, they are way below. How do you know, like, the sergeants and?
No, it's the same. Our-
It's
our-
reflective all the way up the line.
When we do pay raises that are not percentage increases, and we do $1,000 across the board pay raises, all that does is compress all of our salary ranges. That's all that does.
Just-
Right, so we are very compressed on our department, and you're gonna see that.
And the matrices are laughable, at
The
a higher level.
pay
Yes.
differentiation
So, I
between,
mean,
you
the
know,
difference between a 10-year officer and a
Right.
30-year officer is
is,
ridiculous.
yeah, I get that. So, forthcoming will be what you need and you'll be negotiating, I guess, for
Yes.
that. And I guess you're kind of in negotiations now,
We
trying to
are.
find out where that is.
Right,
Okay, I understand. Thank you very much.
thank you.
And my neighborhood's fine, except for we got some problems, but we'll talk offline.
Okay.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Murphy, okay, same, just a brief question, speeding, same problem, we would, complain
Hills
about.
is terrible.
My question is, are all police officers trained on using a radar gun, and do we have enough of the radar guns? Because to me, the radar gun doesn't know what color you are, they don't care how old your car is, so we wouldn't get in trouble for harassing people, because we don't like the way you look or something.
Right. All officers at some point have had training on the radar gun.
Okay.
There are radar guns in all the area stations that
Right.
they can take out. We have a traffic safety division, that's their specialty, is enforcing traffic laws. I would love to be able to take out the radar gun all the time and sign it out, but quite frankly, our calls for service right now for the district officers really precludes them from being able to just go out there. We do what we can with our traffic safety division, and when we see those issues of, you know, chronic speeding, we try to get the districts involved in order to write the traffic tickets, but it's difficult for the district personnel to do that.
It's a numbers thing again.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Thank you.
Well, Chief, thank you for coming in today. We appreciate it if you would get those notes to Alderman Vaccaro. Just the things that you had mentioned that we would need. And then Major Hayden, if you would visit with Alderman Moore afterwards, that would be great.
The other thing, just quickly, I'm sorry. I mean, and they may mention it when I had to step out, but that money will become available in October. I think you
Yeah, I
mentioned
said
it.
that.
So, I mean, if you're looking for something, let the guys know. I think the majority of everybody here wants to see that go.
I've told all the officers, every roll call I go to, I tell them, we're trying to do it, and really, that's what they want to hear.
We're working on it.
We're working on it, you know, but, you know, they're gonna wanna see something, right? But, you know, so that's all they wanna see, but we'll know more, like I said, when the county publishes their numbers.
It could get real scary.
It could.
All right, well, thank you. Bye.
Mr. Chairman.
You have a question?
Yes, sir. I have a comment, and the comment is, I don't want business as usual. It is not a blanket situation in my ward. If Carol Howard took care of hers and Beth Murphy took care of her ward, I was elected by the people of the 4th Ward for their concern. I don't know what's going on in the other wards. Together, we can combine and make a complete city. But the 4th Ward needs help, and there's nothing cute about the crime going on in there. And I want that crime stopped by any means necessary. So we need to get the crime stopped, and it is going on and it's out of control, ward gone wild.
Alderman, it's not by accident that I brought Major Hayden with me today.
Sam, if we can keep that answer, right?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.